Yeah, I'm sitting here listening to you talk about how you spent decades in healthcare as a physician, triple boarded, and you didn't know about this. You had to go through this, almost tragic, to serendipitously come across it. Perhaps, maybe it was a great blessing. But however, it's like it didn't happen when you were 25 or 30 when you were in medical school that you learned about this. So why is it both of you could respond? Explain, because there's got to be people listening to this and hearing two bright doctors here, physicians, admit that they didn't know this, and they're wondering if their physicians know anything about this. They're just over there in their own little world recommending more drugs, more surgery, and I'm not here to say that any of that's wrong. There are times when intervention is necessary when the systems do fail. So we have to be balanced there. But just explain, because there's people wondering why people that are so smart like you didn't know about this.
I'll let Maureen answer first, since I talk a lot already.
Sure. I had not heard that verbiage. And, it's interesting that you say that. I got introduced to this in 2012. And now, as an anesthesiologist and pain specialist, just like Dr. Del Reyes, those are the things you're concentrating on. Those are the journals you're reading. You're keeping up with it. You're doing your continuing medical education and all. And Dr. Del Reyes, you had said something about the different systems. We have gotten in medicine almost like, you can put the system in a basket. This guy's got the heart. This guy's got the lungs. This one has the kidneys. And sometimes we do forget that they're all connected, and we become very, very super specialized. Being a chronic pain management physician is a super specialty. So you get a little hyper focused. So something like redox signaling, which is cellular biochemistry, and it was a fairly new field of study. Even though it's been around for a couple of decades, they were not using that terminology. The first, molecules, redox signaling molecules that were discovered was nitric oxide, and there were Nobel Prizes given for that. So what happened for me when it was brought to my attention, just like Dr. Del Reyes, it came from someone who was not in the medical field, who was telling me about it and telling me about how people were having these responses to it. And I had a conversation with my sister, who is not a doctor, neuroscientist, anything. She's a medical editor at my medical school, the Medical University of South Carolina in Charleston, South Carolina. And I said, this person told me about something called redox signaling molecules. I've never heard of it. And she said, well, I have. And I was like, no, you have not. How could you? If I, as a physician, haven't heard of it, you certainly haven't heard of it. And she said, no, we just got a $10.5 million NIH COBRA grant to study redox signaling in the body. Now, these are the innate molecules, the in vitro molecules that are in the body. For cardiovascular effects, neurodegenerative, orthopedic, aging, cancer, diabetes, all sorts of things. They were studying how these things worked in the body with multidisciplinary. Sent me the press release for it. And I was like, this is incredible. Here, this guy, Terry Latham, who had a background in computer sales, he knew about redox signaling. My sister, the medical editor, knew about redox signaling. I had never heard of it. Now, just like Dr. Del Reyes was saying, when I went and looked on PubMed, which is, Google for healthcare professionals, there were at that time about 6,500 references to redox signaling biochemistry. There were already journals out about it. I had just not been exposed. And there's going to be a lot of physicians who have not heard of this or have not been exposed to it because it's still such a new science. And you were also talking about how we have limited studies, but a lot of effects. And that is so incredibly important. In fact, when I met with our founder, Vertus Norton, early on, my husband and I both, my husband had a health challenge, but he's also a researcher. And he has done, many written grants and done many studies. And, his lab was the one that grew the lungs outside of the body and transplanted them into pigs, so real bench research. So talk about being cynical, skeptical and cynical. And we met with Vertus and, we were kind of pushing for FDA approval and things like that. And he said, we could probably get it, but it would take 10 years and another $10 million to get it. And we've all, the companies had already spent millions on safety studies and all these other things. And he said, we know what it does. We know how powerful it is. We know it's 100% non-toxic. We're going to take it to the people and let them have it and let science catch up. And that's what's happening now. So if you haven't heard of it, you probably will in the next, it may take another 5 years or so for it to become mainstream, maybe even longer. But now universities are coming to us and asking to do studies with our product. So things, that pendulum is swinging out the other way. You're going to hear more and more. And we're leading the pack on all this because nobody else has been able to stabilize these molecules outside the body like this company has. So hope that helps.
Hey,
that's pretty.
Maureen, can I, the fact that no one else has it, all of you, does that make it harder to believe? Because no one else has it? I mean,
what a great question. You know what, to a certain extent, I guess that makes sense. But our company is so smart, the leaders in our company, because intellectual property, you're hearing about different different information being stolen by other countries and things.
Right.
And even, I know my husband, when they're putting research out, they have to be so careful because somebody can actually, beat them to the punch or use their information to recreate their studies and whatnot. So, this company has layered patents on, it's made from salt water and you can't patent salt water, but you can patent the process that they use to turn salt water into something else, into these redox signaling molecules. So they have layered patents, but patents run out. So for a while, they were just sort of covering them and layering them and putting more. We also have thousands of trade secrets, so many little tiny things that somebody, if they didn't know, they wouldn't know to do certain things that can have a big effect on the molecules themselves. And they've refined a lot of these things and they've made things better and better and better. And, it's impressive. We have 3 on-site laboratories, 2 at our production facility and 1 at headquarters, where they're constantly testing the product and improving the processes and all. It's just absolutely amazing. So this is a real research and development company that puts our products out to market using the word of mouth marketing that we use. So, great question. I think everybody is probably trying to do this or trying to get around it because we're now learning more and more about what the effects of rebalancing this. And of course, Dr. Lee is the resident expert on the redoxome